Legends all. That was amazing, wasn't it? Could we, just before I completely exhaust your applause, can we have a massive round of applause for the man we're about to introduce on the stage first, the director, Andrew Jessup. Thank you very much. What a great piece of work. And in his wake, two roles are quite important. We saw quite a lot there in the last 90 minutes. Sean Sharman, the drummer of the Wedding Present originally, and of course, Mr. David Lewis Gedge. Can we have a round of applause? Set you off, and what made you think that you could get such mileage out of a story like that?
Yeah, it was the 20th anniversary at ULID in London. I went along with Sean. I know Sean from before this whole project, so although I didn't know what he did.
So you knew, right? Okay, you knew him as a friend.
I knew him. We support the same football team.
Which is?
Well, we lost today, Brighton.
Oh God, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you hear Sean then? Did we? Darling, I'm leaving.
So yeah, the story goes, we were at Yeovil away, very glamorous, Tuesday night. We were losing, it was dreadful, and he was just a guy who worked in IT at that point. And then we spent the whole second half like talking about music and stuff, and he went, oh, I used to drum in a band actually. And that was the wedding present. And it was only, I think it was the following, it was about 6 months later, we went to the 20th anniversary. And yeah, it was just like that night, the crowd, everyone was, well, 40 odd then, 50 odd now. And just the way they connected with it, and it was just seemed like, you know, because I was going to like 3 gigs a week back then, and I was a bit younger or whatever, but just to see the fact they could connect with this album so many years later, I thought there's definitely something there. But 10 years later, I finally did it.
And what sorry, Sean.
I know I owe David some royalties for this probably, but I remember burning a CD of George Best and giving it to him at the next match after the conversation. This is the band that I used to be in, just in case you're interested.
You don't get any songwriting fees, so...
That is a punch in the kidney, isn't it? Apart from anything else, I don't know if anybody else in Manchester David's got.
That's what invites him.
I just had a picture of Sean actually immolating a CD of George Best and then just setting it on fire and scraping the ashes into a jiffy bag and giving it to Andrew, which is...
Still got it to this day, yeah.
But, okay, because I've got to hand it over to everybody else, but like, what's it like for you, David and Sean, to have a section of your youth preserved in amber like that, like some Jurassic Park nightmare for the rest of your fucking lives? Because that's essentially what that 90 minutes seems to be about to me. It's a capturing of a moment that is so unbelievably... It's just immensely sort of powerful for everybody, isn't it? You're 16, you're 17, you're 18, you've captured that. What's it like for the people that have done it?
It's tricky for me because it's just, it's kind of one part of my life really. And I think, you know, I'll make no bones about it, it's my least favourite wedding present record. So I kind of think, you know, yes, it's interesting that people, you know, spending all, you know, Andrew spent so much time on this film and stuff, but at the same time it's kind of, it's flattering, but you know, I kind of, you know, it's hard for me really, because I'm seeing myself on a big screen and there's lots of people saying how great I am, you know, it's a weird thing to kind of experience really, I suppose. But to me it was just the first record that I made, I suppose. So.
I mean, yes, Sean, please, if you could.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably weirder for me because I have a kind of more normal life. I've got kids, family, etc. And it's a bit like stepping out of that and back into a youthful thing, yeah. And I must admit, this was a bit less nerve-wracking than the Brighton show because I hadn't actually seen the film.
Right.
So when we did the Brighton thing, I could have been kind of shaking my fist at the screen by the end of it. It's like, you said what? But no, it was fine, and I'm here again. Obviously,
that's great. Is it a fair depiction of what happened in your eyes, and you know, is that how it rolled out for you?
I think there's a couple of things I'd change. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. I think that Chris wanted to use his machine. I think the drumming thing. I mean, I would say that the drums weren't done in that way on My Favourite Dress. So if you think that the drums are very different on that compared to the rest of the album, I think he was a Fairlight programmer. He wanted to use his machine. But apart from that, no, not really. I guess I think when we were young, we wouldn't necessarily behave, hopefully, in the same way again. Hope other people wouldn't as well. And also, as I said, it's that whole thing about being cooped up together for a long time and all this kind of stuff.
It's, it's difficult, isn't it? Because, like you alluded to there, David, it's your least favourite wedding present album. So it's kind of not ironic, but unfortunate in many ways, isn't it? That it's made such an indelible, sort of mark on the landscape. Is it a little bit like then when you're having a relationship and you're not as into it as that person is into you? Is that the kind of vibe that you get when you play it? It's like, all right, love, all right, I'm not that keen, to be honest. Is it a little bit like that kind of dynamic sometimes as you play it?
I mean, I think Andrew's done I think Sean's right. I think it's very accurate. He's done so much work on it, the research and just editing that. It must have been a tremendous feat because there's all this footage, archive footage, new footage, the interviews, all the, I can only say thank you for doing it, really. But yes, it is, I'd like him to do Bizarro, really.
Oh! At the Leeds gig, when you finished with Bewitched, tears were shed. Well, they were shed all the way fucking through, let's be honest. You're fucking murdering it. No, it was really, really excellent, is what I'm trying to say. Do you? I just wondered, Andrew, did you meet with any resistance at any point? How did it pan out with speaking to David, speaking to Sean? Did you meet with resistance? What were the hardest parts to get through?
Not from David, and David's been really good, to be honest, from the start. I think you've definitely warmed to it more as it's gone on. I think that would be fair.
Yes. I think I warmed to it when I got involved more, really. At first, to be honest with you, a lot of people come to me all the time and say, "Oh, I want to do this, I want to do a retrospective of this, I want to do this, I want to," and I met you, and you want to make a film? Yeah, fine, whatever. We'll probably sell a few on the merch. And then when I started to kind of find out more about it and the kind of depth you were going to go into it, I kind of thought, this is actually, it could be really good, and so I think I warmed to it at that point, really, then hence that's when I got more involved with it, I guess.
But to go, like, the very, very beginning, it started with the curry. That's all good things to...
It does though, doesn't it? Wasn't that Gordon Brown and Tony Black? They broke up their deal of the passing on of leadership.
There we go. We ordered the same meal as well. I hadn't pitched the idea at that point. We went in and I was, these guys hadn't met up in a few months or whatever, and having small talk, and I'm just there like shitting myself, like, I need to pitch this idea in a minute, and I can't enjoy this. But David ordered the same as I was having. It was
chicken dancer.
Chicken tikka madras.
I would go for it. It depends on the menu, doesn't it? If it's like a quite stripped down menu, sometimes I'll go for a chicken tikka chili masala.
So we just go for a whole Indian menu. Yeah.
Sean, what do you have in the Indian?
Chicken jalfrezi for me.
Chicken jalfrezi. You know what I mean? Though I do like a hot cod curry sometimes. But sorry.
No, it's fine. I think, in that curry, David and me were just basically swapping stories and bits and pieces, weren't we? And I suppose that's kind of what the difference here.
But I was going to talk about nostalgia because obviously that's what it is a document of a time and it's a snapshot of a time, and that comes through very beautifully. But there's this. I love the bit where Pete. By the way, just in the interest of full disclosure, Norwood Terrace, I think, flashes up there, which is pretty much
absolutely. Yeah.
I lived in Norwood Place.
Oh, really?
About 9 years after you were there, so
right.
It's all exactly the same sort of nostalgia rush to push the emotion that you and I get. It's that lovely moment where Pete is sort of looking wistfully off into the distance, remembering a bass amp. I just love that. It's like, I wonder if it's still there. It'd be weird if it's still there. I just love that. But what are you most fondly nostalgic about that particular time?
I actually think of what you are as well. I lived in Hyde Park Terrace around the corner. And it wasn't just really even the band, because we used to meet up virtually every night we were practicing to go and see gigs as well. So there was a period, obviously, things were a little bit sour later, but there was a good couple of years when we were just kind of going to gigs and all that kind of stuff, and just seeing the architecture and those buildings and that. I think we all lived within about 500 yards of each other in that little corner of Leeds 6. Yeah, it's great. It really does bring it back.
Made it really easy for filming now.
Not too many travel costs.
And then we dispatched to Antigua to record the second drum track.
Well, there was Australia.
Well, there was Australia. Oh yeah, you got a little packing holiday out of that, didn't you?
He is the first person to get Keith, he has to say. That's probably the biggest achievement of the film, is getting Keith on the camera, I reckon.
Well, there's a thing, right? So, first of all, let's talk about Jazz, right? Is she here tonight? Of course she is. Absolutely typical. I think it was kind of pointed at and alluded to a bit in the film. What would George Best have been like lyrically if you hadn't split up with Jazz? Would it have been about goblins and football?
That's not a bad idea for the next one, right? But yes, I think, you know, it's obviously relationships have informed my writing since the very beginning, really, and especially the kind of breakup ones. And you know, I think, you know, it's not exactly that I've kind of written the whole album about that relationship, but it does inform it certainly, and there's definitely a few songs that about her. And I think, you know, it was maybe important for me to have that kind of, in a way, if I'm being, you know, artistic about it, because I think it, you know, I did channel all that stuff into the writing, really. So it was you know, a very sad thing, but you know, had its uses. I think it's alluded to on the film, kind of, really, isn't it?
The fact she did it was great. It was a hell of a email to send. Be like, I booked a flight to Australia. Can we talk about a relationship you had in 1984 or whatever it was? You know, it was completely out of the blue for her. So it was really weird. But yeah, the fact she did it was pretty amazing. So I'm glad she was on there. 'Cause I think that, like, the way I saw that night, the 20th anniversary, the way the fans loved the album and stuff, I wanted to kind of weave a love story into it, and the way the lyrics as well. So she was pretty key to making it all happen.
And what was George Best like? It seems that I didn't know this bit, but there's some photographs of you all together. What stage was he looked quite trim at that point, actually. What was he like to sort of hang out with him? What did he think of the album?
I've no idea what he thought. To be honest, it was just because we, you know, wanted to call the LP George Best. I found the photograph and thought, this is great. And then our press officer at the time just said, oh, we should get George Best in for a photo session. And we just went, okay, I guess. And he said, yeah, don't worry. And he arranged it, and so we met him. And that, you know, because I'd grown up being a Manchester United fan, all those years, you know, and he was my icon really in the 60s and 70s and stuff. And then suddenly you're in a room with him, and I don't think I even spoke to him really. You know.
Well, it's quite bizarre really, because what David's skirting around is the fact that he didn't know at the time. So he didn't know why we were doing the photo session with him. We didn't know anything about the fact that we were naming the album after him. And the other thing is, we talked to him about fishing. And like, none of us have ever had anything to do with fishing. And I don't know whether he's ever had anything to do with fishing. Did Pete? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pete was bonding with him.
Yeah, something about that. But it was like, fishing? It's been actually I think the first time I ever met with John Peel, I spent the time talking about cheese. And it's like, what am I doing talking to John Peel about cheese for?
The Gouda, of course, is absolutely madness. I'm glad you mentioned him, Sean, because that's such an emotional part of the film, watching Sheila go through the Rolodex, and it also gives us an insight into just what an unbelievable organisation that is, and how many records, you know, John amassed, and what an incredible sort of legacy he's left to us all. But just tell us a little bit about your guys' relationship with him, because there's that. It's great that he's on the video, on the film as well, him saying that, you know, he's the greatest rock and roll loves, you know, sort of songwriter. What was your relationship with him like? Did you spend much time with him? Did you get to spend much time with him? Or?
Kind of yes and no. I suppose it's similar to the George Best scenario, really, because again, I grew up listening to that programme and I was obsessed with it to the point where I used to tape pretty much every show and then play it and then edit my favourite bits off it. And so when I finally met him, it was kind of weird to hear that voice coming out of a human, you know, because I'm so used to hearing it coming out of the speaker. And he was exactly the same, I think, on the radio as he was in real life. So it was very disconcerting. I think I always got on better with his wife, really, and his kids, to be honest, because you know, they're kind of a sort of step removed, really. I wasn't quite as nervous as I was when I was speaking to him. So I met him loads of times, but yeah, it was always a kind of adoration.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of thing.
It's a bit like me and you, actually. But I mean, is it a fever dream, or do I remember watching an episode of This Is Your Life with John Peel and you were on it? Yeah, that definitely happened. Quite we've only got about 7 minutes left. I've had a lot of very hallucinogenic moments in my life, and we're going to get some questions from you guys quickly. I just wanted to mention one more quick thing, which was you said this funny thing in the film about, because it's, you know, sometimes a bit embarrassing singing these songs of youth, etc. when you're, you know, a gentleman of a certain age, as we all are now. Is there any mileage in the idea? And if there is, I want fucking points on this. George Best, the musical. Why not? Why not?
I'll tell you why not. I hate musicals.
Oh, shit. Well, that's the end of that. You've got a double fist at the back there. Not for the first time. Okay, listen, there are literally, I've got about 99 other questions, but it's unfair of me to hog it. Have we got any questions from the audience? If you'd like to thrust your fist confidently into the air if you have one. Otherwise, I'll just carry on. Oh, gentlemen.
What is your favourite album? Bizarro?
My favourite album is Going, but it's kind of almost obvious really. That's the last, you know, the most recent one. So it's the most in my, you know, mind and tastes, and
Yeah.
it was a massive project that we undertook. So I was very proud of it really. So yeah, Going.
Lovely. And come on, there's otherwise, I mean, I've got many more questions. Here we go.
With the success of George Best and Tommy, were you upset about the demise of Reception Records and signing to a major, or not?
No, because it was only purely ever like a vehicle for the wedding present. And to be honest, the only reason it existed is because we sent demo tapes out, you know, before the first single. We sent them out to everybody, really, Creation, Factory, I don't know, Rough Trade. You know, me and Keith actually came down and met record labels, and we didn't, you know, we get rejected by them all, really. So we just thought, well, let's pay for our own recording and do it ourselves. So I think, you know, by making that decision, we actually invented a record label, and it became Reception Records. And then when we signed to RCA, we didn't really need it anymore. So yeah, well, I wasn't. I had no yearning desire to have a record label or anything. I think you did more than me, actually.
Yeah,
I go up to my colleague.
I used to do that side of it in terms of we put out a single by Cud and This Poison as well, and that was more kind of my thing really. So, and I was gone by the time Reception Records finished, so it didn't make any difference by then.
Can I just also say that it's only in the last 3 days that I put together a wedding present and Reception Records, wedding reception. It's taken literally 31 years for that penny to drop. What a thick bastard. So that's incredible. Have we got anybody else with questions here? Oh, we've got one at the back.
Hello, is there a chance of a concert with the original lineup?
Did you hear that then?
I'm going to pass that to David in a moment anyway, but the main reason why it might be difficult is because Keith is the one, in particular, that I'm not sure would ever do that kind of thing, but anyway.
You know, I think it's impossible to, you know, you never say never, do you, really, but I think Sean's hit the nail on the head, and Keith didn't didn't want to do it the first time. To do it again now. And it's not even a matter of money, yeah. You know, I don't think you would say, well, if you give me $100 grand, I'd do it, because it's not even money. It's just you just genuinely didn't really enjoy being on tour, didn't really enjoy playing the concerts. I think he liked making the records, but even that I'm not too sure about. But he was, you know, it sounds weird, like why did we have him in the group? But you know, at the end of the day, he was a fundamental part of it, really. You know. And he was great at what he did. He just didn't particularly enjoy it, I suppose.
That's it, you say in the film, don't you? Or he says in the film that you'd always said, I don't think you really cut out for this.
He had kind of had to be persuaded at pretty much every stage of the band to carry on. As we say, he was always kind of, but it wasn't even personal particularly, he just didn't really like the attention of being on stage. It's a strange thing, really.
It's a bit like, and it's nice that you played in Cinerama as well.
Well, actually, yeah, I didn't in the end, because basically we did some sessions and it didn't really kind of work out. I mean, at the time, the band that I was playing in then, and when we got together, David kind of wanted John Barry and we sounded like Sonic Youth, so it was not really a match. But it kind of got us friendly again and stuff like that. And in terms of, from my point of view, I mean, I've got a band at the moment as well, so I'm quite happy with that.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I'm playing in a band called Jetstream Pony, and we're playing on Friday with Chorus Girl and the Mammoth Penguins at the Dalston, Victoria.
Right, so that we can have that, can't we? That's pretty phenomenal. Absolutely marvellous. It's great to know that because honestly, I learned to play, I don't even play the drums really, it's my second or third instrument, I'm a polymath. But I learned to play the drums because of you, because I would sit there for fucking hours listening to those records and sort of air drumming along, so thank you for that.
You should do it with a machine.
Those Simmons drum kit. Those, one of our drummers had a Simmons drum kit and we eventually threw it in a rhythm.
The thing is, you've got like Pro Tools and stuff like that now. I mean, stuff just gets fixed. It's kind of, do you know what I mean? Like software just like moves the snare drum.
Yeah. It's not like
it happens pretty much all the time now. You don't need to do things like that.
Yeah, you don't. And finally, because unfortunately we kind of have run out of time, but I don't know how well received this question will be to David, but like one of the things that comes through on the documentary is, especially when you hear John saying, "Oh, my favourite album of 1987," and greatest rock and roll love song writer, Do you ever sit there and just for fun even? Because we all are happy with the path we've eventually ended up on.
Because
I sort of think, just a little shimmy of fate there, and you could have been a Bruce Springsteen situation, couldn't it? $75 million, living in Bel Air. Do you ever think like that? Like, what a different path? Or I mean, obviously, I could have done that myself, guitar player.
Yes, I do think about that sometimes, but I think I've made certain decisions in my career, or whatever it is, in my life, and I suppose they've possibly taken us on a path which is less commercial, or I suppose kind of ultimately, George Best should have come out. I should have come to London. I should have hung out with all the movers, the shakers, and, like Jarvis Cocker or something. And I just didn't. I've never been comfortable with that. I've always been happy with the decisions we've made artistically, commercially, I suppose. So, I'm not miserable about the fact that I'm not Bruce Springsteen.
Well, we love you guys just the way you are. What was that about? We've run out of time, but I would just so very much like to say thank you for the music, David and Sean, and thank you for the documentary, Andrew Jezzard. Thank you very much.